6, episode 4. Today's show is a magazine special, first magazine special of this season. And it's all political magazines. So that could be bad or good. Probably bad, let's be honest. So we've got Jacobin first up. Then it will be the new Statesman and the Spectator in a 1-2 punch of the ever narrowing Overton window of Britain, and finally Time magazine 2022, the year ahead, and Shonda Rhimes on the front page of that, front cover of that. Sorry. Good afternoon, Burnzoid. How are you? Yes, today's episode, the jack-off bin, because I am immature. If you want a quick rundown of today's front pages, well, I can give you that, and I will give you that. Burnzoid says, all good, it's Friday afternoon. Yeah, Friday after all. Yes, I fully agree with that one. Hello, Heathmore, how are you? Good to see you. Right, so just a quick rundown of today's front pages. So the Sun goes with thrown out, stripped of HRH and military titles. Favourite son, now private citizen. Curiously, no mention of the news that broke last night that there was another Downing Street party just before Prince Philip's funeral. Prince Philip is dead, by the way. And it was a party for James Slack, the departing communications director of the Prime Minister, who went to become deputy editor of The Sun. Look out for the newsletter later where I'll be writing about that and other bad Jameses from the media. On the front page of the Times, we've got a tribute to Ronnie Spector, and once again, Prince Andrew humiliated as Queen strips his titles, and they managed to find no space for the mention of the James Slack party either. Curious, isn't it? That story broken by The Telegraph and Tony Diver. On the front page of the Mirror, number 10 parties on eve of Philip funeral. Boozy bashes hours before Queen sat alone. Yes, Prince Philip is dead. Also, Queen strips Andrew of his titles, and strictly the end of OT. And finally for this one, Daily Mail, unmasked by MI5, the Chinese spy who gave Labour 670,000 and targeted our PMs. There was a lot of donations going all over the place, not just to Labour, but of course Daily Mail is going to focus on that main story. Prince Andrew driven out, haunted look of Duke as he arrives for Crisis Summit. Yeah, he looks more haunted now that he's lost a few titles than about the notion that he is in court. Is up for a case accused of numerous sexual crimes. Right. James Slack absolutely offers not on drugs. Wait, Prince Philip is dead. Heathmore, I'm pretty good, enjoying a good Friday. Hello to you, Panic Future. Yo, SK, how you doing? You go. Prince Philip is dead. When did this happen? To be fair, I think a lot of people celebrated when Philip died. Okay, so we're gonna start with in the mag special. God, I just made my hair mad. Make it less mad? No. Possibly worse. Right. The Research Arena, you're having a shit day. I'm sorry you're having a shit day. Right, so Jacobin is the first of today's magazine special titles we're going to take a look at. This is the fall 2021 edition, and the cover story is Lower the Crime Rate. I do like more mad hair always, says the Burnsley. I do like the cover. Is there anyone in the contributors we might know? Well, yeah, there is. There's Owen Hathley. He's the culture editor of Tribune. Alan Jones, author of Filmsuck and USA and Filmsuck. There's who else is in here? Lots of different people. Anyway, this is the European editor at large, David Sirota, who co-wrote Don't Look Up. So the opening thing is Front Matters, opening statement. Lower the crime rate. Crime is born out of poverty and the miseries of capitalism. An index of oppression can't be ignored by socialists, is the line on that one. Hey, Gonzo Socialism, how are you doing? You caught us on this. It's a very... What type of magazine is this? They're all politics magazines today, Research Arena. So it's Jacobin, The New Statesman and the Spectator in a 1-2 punch of British news horror, and finally the Time magazine. The worst kind. Yes, these are the worst kind of nerd magazines. So we've got to do it sometimes. Anyway, beautiful cover. Beautiful cover. And on the back, they've got a quote from Johnny Cash. So there we are. Yeah, I'm alright, Gonzo. Thank you. Not too bad. It's Friday, isn't it? So, yeah. Jacobin here, like, as always with people who are, like, very theory heads. Just text. Just page. Just lines. Just so much text. C122H122. Do we know anyone who edited The Spectator? Yeah, some guy. You may be aware of him. Goes by the nom de guerre Boris. Yeah, letters. Nothing interesting in the letters. Various internet comments. Someone a joke about Jeff Bezos here. Why did Jeff Bezos decide to get divorced? Because he found a marriage as a union. So there you go. If you have to ride Uber as a socialist, 5-star rating every time. No snitching, writes Jonathan Cobb of Portland. Yeah. Americans are weird with what with their definitions of what socialism is, aren't they? A death sentence for disorderly conduct. The story of Shally Tilson, a 22-year-old who died from dehydration at a jail in Georgia. This is a good, powerful piece of journalism, but again, I don't understand why are large images not socialist? Is that what we're learning from this? Planet Future, not read the Jacobin in physical form, but what I like about Tribune is that they do a good job of making it pretty and visually interesting. Socialism was when the government does stuff, and when you rate serfs 5 out of 5. Yeah, weird, isn't it? Joke was as bad as the Daily Mail ones. Not a bad joke, not a good one, says Burnside. Good afternoon, Recursive Rose. Hey, you. Rachel, you got to scrub the toilet. Political magazines seem like the appropriate compliment. Yes, Boris Johnson's novel, as SK the Crusader says, is a racist book. Super racist book. Magic Dan, I thought when the government does stuff, that's gay communism, which is bad somehow. So yeah, I don't understand why they have to do tiny pictures. I saw a copy of the latest edition of Tribune the other day, and it looked really good. The actual design was beautiful on the front, but then I didn't manage to pick it up. More of this, like a thing on the drug war. Again, interesting. Like, it's good, but like, what is this relentless design not to illustrate it properly? It makes it a real kind of slog through this magazine. Oh, some design has happened. Afeni Shakur took on the state and won. Pregnant and facing decades in prison, the mother of Tupac Shakur fought for her life and triumphed in the trial of the Panther 21. That is a really interesting story, and I actually quite like that spread. And that's a nicely designed spread and a really fascinating story. And this article is very good, if very long. But some amazing pictures in it. Right, did Liberals give us mass incarceration? Asks Jacobin. Yes, is the answer. And what's more exciting than graphs? Like single color graphs. Jacobin, it wants you to eat your vegetables, and it refuses to give you any dessert until you've eaten all your lovely graphy vegetables. The Burns, the design of Jacobin reminds me of some of the engineering journals I had to read through uni with less graphs. Yeah, well, we've got some graphs now, but there you go. More of that, lots of that. I love black and white graphs, says C122H122. These are in red, but yeah. So yeah, a lot of graphs. What we really know about the CIA and crack. See, suddenly that's a real handbrake turn there from a quite boring article with graphs about a very worthy subject about crime rates and incarceration and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the CIA claimed that any story linking it to the 1980s crack cocaine explosion was conspiratorial slander, but the evidence of its complicity is all there in the congressional record. Boom. Love it. The CIA thought it had buried a sordid story with the death of San Jose Mercury News reporter Gary Webb. Webb had spent years documenting the crack cocaine trade in the United States and the intelligence agency's complicity in it. Webb took his own life in 2004 after his 1996 Dark Alliance reporting stories came under intense scrutiny from heavy hitters of American journalism, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Los Angeles Times. Unfortunately for US intelligence chiefs, the accusations made by Webb and other journalists have continued to flare up in popular culture, where the opportunity to combine two movie archetypes, the spook and the gangster, seem irresistible. Hollywood films like 2014 Webb biopic Kill the Messenger and 2017's American Made, with Tom Cruise's CIA pilot Barry Seal, have helped keep the allegations in public consciousness. The same year that Kill the Messenger came out, the CIA released a previously classified 1997 article from its house journal, Managing a Nightmare, CIA Public Affairs and the Drug Conspiracy Story. Its author, Nicholas Dujmovic, described the controversy as a symptom of escalating public distrust in government, with the CIA as an innocent bystander in the crossfire. In such times, even fantastic allegations about the CIA, JFK's assassination, UFO cover-ups, or importing drugs into America's cities will resonate with and even appeal to much of American society. And this article is very pleased about a ground base of already productive relations with journalists. Incredible scenes. Anyway, there's loads of stuff. Lots of evidence that the CIA and the State Department was involved. In 1986, the CIA produced a report denying allegations of FDN atrocities made by several defectors from the group. Congressman Sam Gedgenson of the House Foreign Affairs Committee described the report as incredibly sloppy at best and intentionally deceptive at worst. Intentionally deceptive? The CIA? No way. So yeah, John Hull was a former US farmer based in Costa Rica who worked closely with Oliver North to organise the supply flights to the Contras and received $10,000 a month. Jeffrey Feldman, the assistant US attorney for Florida's Southern District, was investigating alleged violations of the Neutrality Act by members of the Contra supply network. Anyway, lots of good pictures in this. It's a good article. If it's online, do check it out. Cultural capital. Everywhere, grime in America, terrible time in America. Forget the parodies. West Side Story was an epic musical about gang violence that was as hard-hitting as it was stunning. Again, could we have some pictures? The Burns Zone, my job is government adjacent and there is so much paperwork. I'm just a little security agency. Please don't hurt me. CIA is never innocent. Please pray for me. I think my kettle might be broken. Oh god, that F's in the chat definitely for the research arena. Jacobin is Vegetables, the magazine. It really is. It's super vegetably. Right, and then this thing by Fergal Kinney here. Breaking up the party, Britain is rightly known for its multicultural popular music, but these musical styles frequently emerge in the face of legal attempts to stop them. Could this be interesting? Yes, possibly, but more just walls of text here. Planned paranoia. There's a reason why urban housing developments and suburban subdivisions can seem threatening and unwelcoming to outsiders. They're planned that way in order to design out crime. Again, this is fascinating, right? This by Owen Hatterley is a really good article. It's very interesting, but they've made it look more like vegetables again. Gonzo Socialism recommends Douglas Valentine, another author worth looking up for writings on the evil of the CIA. Thanks for that recommendation, Gonzo. We'll check that out. Did the LAPD kill the notorious B.I.G.? Criminal police officers ran law enforcement in the 90s, Los Angeles, and they may have a story to tell. Yeah, again, that's a really interesting story. Does Jacobin make it look interesting? No. Maybe they just don't have a good picture budget. A Brazilian bloodbath when Lula and the Workers' Party took power in Brazil. They had a plan to take on crime and power and the power of the police. Their failure helped undermine their entire program. This is an interesting article and a good splash page on that as well. There's so much worth reading in this magazine, but it's not presented very well at all. Jesus Christ, that's a figure that just sticks in your mind. More than 1 million Brazilians have been murdered over the past 2 decades, a higher death toll than the United States global war on terror. During the that's in quote marks, by the way. During the PT years, Brazil's incarcerated population tripled to 726,000 people, the third largest in the world. Chronotherm, we all know the most part of leftism is making everything you say and write dull and impenetrable. That planning article could have some really interesting diagrams, but more boring vegetables. Yeah, there's one nice little diagram. Anyway, this piece on Brazil is fascinating. It has a lot of stuff in it. Some stuff I knew, some stuff I didn't. In 1983, journalists helped conjure a nationwide sex panic. Again, this is a really fascinating article. Do they make it something that lures you in? Not really. Longest running and most expensive trial in US history, the McMartin preschool case, began in the fall of 1983 when Judy Johnson claimed that her son, Billy, had been sodomized by Ray Buckley, 25-year-old teacher at McMartin Preschool in affluent Manhattan Beach, California. Over the weeks that followed, Johnson's accusations became increasingly bizarre. She alleged that Buckley and other teachers had dressed as witches to abuse her son, that Buckley flew through the air, and that Peggy McMartin Buckley, Ray's mother and the school administrator, had stuck scissors in the boy's eyes, and that she had beheaded an infant and made Billy drink the dead baby's blood. Johnson's accounts involved a goat, a lion, an elephant, and day trips via train and airplane to other sites for abuse and torture. Her son showed no signs of physical abuse, and Johnson herself would later be diagnosed with acute paranoid schizophrenia. But her accusations set in motion an elaborate chain reaction. A police search of Bucky's home turned up evidence, a rubber duck, and copies of Playboy. After arresting Bucky, the Manhattan Beach police chief sent a letter to parents naming him as a suspected child abuser. The letter asked parents to question their children as to whether they'd witnessed or been victims of abuse, helpfully naming several possible variations of assault they might have experienced. It also suggested that nude photos may have been taken. Persistent questioning by panicked parents produced further accusations, and a major part of the police investigation was handed over to Key McFarlane of the Children's Institute International, a clinic for the treatment of child abuse. That would have been a good time for sober, dispassionate, even sceptical reportage, but in its early coverage of the story, the mass media inflamed the public, fanning fear of ritual abuse across the country. Newsweek reported without qualification that some of the children are now strong enough to relate details of the naked movie star game. The article continued, the horrors may only have started. For years, the authorities now suspect parents have unwittingly delivered their children to an outlet for child pornography and prostitution. Yes, it's a fascinating article about a moral and media panic in the US. We have had them here in the UK multiple times. Rubber duck equals evidence. Satanic panic at its height. Kids were saying they were being flushed down toilets. The McMartin case is wild, says Slenkermeyer. C122, H122 says, Michael Brooks from the Majority Report made me aware of Brazil. I know, yeah, I'm not, does it talk nonsense, says the Burnside. Yeah, fully. Another really fascinating article presented very boldly here. Marta Fana on the battle against the Sicilian Mafia wasn't waged by cops and judges, it was waged by communists and Labour militants. Again, fascinating, again, presented very boring. SK Crusader really wants to do a video on moral satanic panics. Yeah, that would be a really good video. I'd be interested. I'd be interested in doing that video. From the Wolf of Wall Street in New York to Joe Low in Malaysia, globalization unleashed a world of well-connected and super rich con artists. That is a good splash page for that. Smooth criminals. The man responsible for what the FBI called the largest kleptocracy case to date threw himself a hell of a 31st birthday party, a grab bag of Hollywood party cliches. Malaysian businessman Joe Low's 2021 Las Vegas bash included a bespoke aircraft hangar, a Ferris wheel, a cigar lounge, Cirque du Soleil-esque performers, Oompa Loompa impersonators, and booths served by gorgeous women clad in red dresses. What the party lacked in creativity, it made up for in cash thrown down. As Tom Wright and Bradley Hope describing Billion Dollar Whale, the man who fooled Wall Street, Hollywood and the world, dozens of A-list celebrities including Leonardo DiCaprio, Jamie Foxx and Kim Kardashian came out, many of whom were paid big money to attend. Swizz Beatz, Kanye West and Ludacris provided musical entertainment, with Britney Spears bursting from a cake to sing Happy Birthday. Zhao Lo himself was gifted a bright red Lamborghini by nightclub owners Noah Teppenberg and Jason Strauss as a thank you for the millions of dollars he had spent in their establishments over the years. He had masterminded a theft of $4.5 billion from the One Malaysia Development Berhad, the state investment fund for which he had served as an unofficial special advisor. And he didn't work alone. He developed connections around the globe with the likes of the now former Malaysian Prime Minister, middling Saudi elites, washed-up rappers, and a dozen Goldman Sachs bankers. That's going to be a film, isn't it? I can think of anything that needs to be less bespoke than an aircraft hangar. Yeah. Do CIA agents and their shady international counterparts stand alongside Russian mobsters, Mexican drug lords, Israeli sex traffickers, and Nigerian cyber scammers in the global criminal lineup? Yes. Yes is the answer. The local mafia crushed the dock workers' strike, and thanks to CIA support, the Corsican syndicate forged a heroin production and smuggling operation that thrived for decades. The CIA. So, yeah. Is this a good magazine? Yes. Is it a well-designed magazine? No. Barbies and bullets in Colombia and around the world, right-wing paramilitaries and traffickers have adopted a populist feint to win over the communities they terrorize. Again, very interesting. This time it was bribing people with Barbies. Manuel Padilla still remembers the last time he pulled an all-nighter. It was late November 2004. That night he spent hours unloading contraband from a boat moored in the mangroves of northwest Colombia. As a low-ranking member of a drug-trafficking paramilitary militia, Manuel had done it dozens of times before, but normally the cargo was AK-47s or kilos of cocaine. This time it was Barbie dolls. Yeah. The dolls, which Manuel's militia gave out as Christmas presents in the communities under its control, were a bid to shed its violent reputation and win hearts and minds. Tactics. The more I learn about Zhao Lao, the more confused I am about how people trusted him with money, says the neon lady. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for redeeming Hydrate. Slinkamai says, American Hysteria has great coverage of the Satanic Panic. Yes, it does. New York's cop coup. In 1993, New York had its first black mayor, and Rudy Giuliani stirred up a police riot at City Hall. Good bit of history here. And again, could be laid out. But like Vegetables the magazine, whoever's just said Vegetables the magazine before, absolutely had it right. There's so much good stuff in this magazine. So yeah, I know that's it. That's Jacobin. Content-wise, honestly, I rate it a 9. There's so much interesting stuff in there, but design-wise, it's like a 2. Please, if you're gonna make a print product, make it look beautiful. The front page is fine, right? And the quality of the paper stock is amazing, and you know, the cover design I like, but inside, it's yeah. Raw Vegetables. It looks more like an academic journal in the magazine, but I might pick this up as lots of these articles sound interesting. Yeah, honestly, there's a ton to read in there. I will say it's ridiculously expensive in the UK. It's like £8 at the moment. No coin section. It's the most expensive magazine we're looking at today. It's like £8. That said, I mean, there's a ton to read in it, and like, if the contributors get paid properly, fantastic. Right. Although, you know, the old line was always that right-wing publications pay quickly and left-wing ones you have to really chase to get paid. That's not always the case. It's sort of a canard, but you know. Right. Anyway, what do you think? Give me your scores on Jacobin based on what you've seen there. Next up, we're going to be gashing through the Spectator. You know, cursed content warning to be had there. But first, let's do the encoding's overloaded. It wasn't until just now. Let's do a roll call. I'm the Broken Bottle Boy. You can follow me on Twitter at Broken Bottle Boy. Please check out today's newsletter and share it if you will. Yesterday's newsletter. It's about the construct known as Boris Johnson and how Boris doesn't exist. In the mod squad today is SK the Crusader. He just read the script for his upcoming video, which is excellent. Also in the chat, another TT viewer, Aratrax, A Service Stop, Bear Pavlova, one of my favourite usernames to read, C122, H122, Crawfish, Delotex, Dr. Fayad, Arabs, hello Arabs, Yu-Gi-Oh, Heathmore 2401, Capsip 06, Kinu 92, Chronother, Magic Dan 13, Mogshed, Panicked Future, Parps, Rachology, Recursive Rose, Rimastino, Salinka Meyer, Spike Track Claire, 1727, The Burnzoid, The Neon Lady, The Research Arena, and the ever excellent Royal Flush and V&K. Here is person in the room who is in the room. Thank you very much for my tea. Right. Oh, that's a jam tea. It's really good. Right. Okay. Yeah, so let's look at the Spectator, cursed as it is. Just spying on what person in the room was eating there. Panic Future, welcome to the Rod Little zone, the Burnzoid. I know not everyone is interested in F1, but the Aston Martin F1 team has just appointed Mike Crack as their team principal. This is an actual Simpsons joke. Mike Crack. Incredible. Burnzoid, really enjoyed yesterday's newsletter. Thank you very much. Gone to socialism. 9 Gary Webbs out of a 10, a total of 10 Michael Hastings. Lax coin section for Jacobin. Chronotherm, plus 10 for the content, minus several million for layout and presentation. Yeah. Okay, right. Cursed from the cover alone. Fully cursed, isn't it? Why should I get the jab? Writes Dr. Steve James. The glory of Greta Garbo, writes Christopher Bray. And the main story, James Forsyth, Katie Balls, and Roderick Little on Is It Over for Boris Johnson? Yeah, and remember, of course, that James Forsyth, the political editor of The Spectator, his best friend and the best man at his wedding was Risky Sunak. So the leader column, the first thing in here, dishonest mistakes. On 20th of May 2020, the Metropolitan Police issued a statement on social media which summed up the conditions in the country. Have you been enjoying the hottest day of the year so far? You can relax, have a picnic, blah, blah, blah. But you must be on your own with people you live, or just you and one other person. So anyway, they go into all the parties. Of course, this was published before the latest level of number of parties were mentioned. There's a bit of racism on the they got a little bit of racism even on the contents page. Yeah, it's the Scientific Racism mag. Yes, indeed. I will lay a haymaker on the twat who doesn't want the jab. Good afternoon, Mark Kenosis. Sadly, you've joined us just as we enter the Spectator zone. Almost all the ads in this are for asset management companies. Crocs Asset Management. The diary comes from, of all people, Maureen fucking Littman. She writes about Dame Helen Mirren, Esther Ranson. She was annoyed about her calling her Esther Ranson's letter to the Times less than comradely. And of course, she's very happy about David Baddiel coming to her defence. Yeah, I mean, Eugenics the magazine. Kenosis Mick, that's the Spectator. What the fuck are you doing? Oh, or would that it was over Mark Kenosis. Well, Mark, it's the magazine review, so we are reviewing a horrible political magazine. And look, you missed. Because you turned up late, you missed us just going through Jacobin, which was very good. So, in the Spectator notes, Charles Moore is in there, just being like Sam Eagle from the Muppets' objectionable cousin. Katie Balls writes, after Boris Johnson, who... oh, yeah. Well, it could be Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss. Imagine that. James Forsyth, his article, Can He Survive? Boris Johnson is in the worst trouble of his premiership. Oh, how will he get out of this one? Oh, there's a shit poem. Do you want to... Shall I do the shit poem?
Can I read it?
Tausif Akhtar's Harmonium, it's called.
Can I read it?
If you like. Person in the room is going to read you the poem.
Where is it?
Jacobin is not good, says Mark Kenosis. No, well, look, there were some interesting articles in there.
What if it's good?
What if it's good, the poem?
Yeah.
It's not a good poem.
Often it disappears from hotels, harbours, airport carousels, but always it comes back to him. Trusting in the umbilical dance of instrument and player, he stays calm in its absence. Amongst the cosmic flotsam orbiting Earth this minute, there! Tausif's harmonium. On the seabed, flexing its gills, for Gazel-hungry shoals, listen, Tausif's harmonium. Sometimes for years, until missing his voice in the air, it plunges through the atmosphere, or, servicing back to the light, steals in on the tide's concertina to appear at Tausif's paddling feet. A child's shadow through frosted glass after all hope has been lost. Actually, I like that bit about the tide's concertina.
No,
I thought it was a very visually beautiful thing.
Yeah, but you made it good as well because you have a good voice. You threw stupid poems. Melt right, yes. You've done me there. Welt might. Person reading poems. Jacobin equals rad libs. Doesn't seem that bad a poem, says Mark Coates. I don't think it's a good poem.
I don't know. I mean,
You've all been, because of the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
You've now, like, this poem is, yes, it's much better than the Daily Mail poems. Mark Kenosis likes the image of a sunken harmonium flexing his skills. Mark, you're just here to be controversial today, and I like it. I like it. It's good. Right, next. The trouble with dating a social media star, writes Lissy Garnett.
Lol.
I fell in love with a social media influencer. I could say there are 3 people in our relationship, but I'd be lying. There are 63,423. Imagine a world in which your partner's private life is his professional life. Incredible. Hard to imagine, with thousands of fawning acolytes all vying over his approval. She doesn't name who this person is. My fellow has, of course, banned me from using his name in print. Oh, because that would be so hard to find it, wouldn't it? Aerotrax has not enough rhymes. C122, H126 were a higher level of shit poem. I'm going to read you the Daily Mail shit poem now. You've brought that on yourselves. That person should bin herself. Is her social media influencer boyfriend selling his farts? Could be. Rod Little writes the truth about that number 10 party. I like the way these byline illustrations are really ugly, right? But that's flattering to Rod Little. Right. Anyway, because he finds a way to be. He finds a way to be weird and racist about David Lammy for some reason. Not that I'm any particular fan of David Lammy's. Steve James writes, "Why should I be sacked for refusing the COVID vaccine?" Dr. Steve James is a consultant in critical care at King's College Hospital. This piece was written in a personal capacity. I tell you why you should be, because you're a fucking idiot. Jesus Christ. My principal objection is to mandate where my colleagues and I are forced to decide between retaining bodily autonomy or retaining our jobs. Different people hold different points of view. Deriding those who disagree with you, like turning to coercion or overturning... But, this is horse shit, right? Surgeons already have to be vaccinated for certain things, right? Otherwise you cannot be a surgeon. Healthcare is a very specific world in which... If you don't want the vaccines, if you don't want to take the vaccines, you shouldn't have to, you don't get to work there. Tough shit. Burnside, that's not a drawing, it's a photograph through one of the filters. Mark Kenosis, that poem was better than a lot of well-regarded contemporary British poetry. Yeah, well that tells you a lot of contemporary British poetry. He's a fucking doctor. Yes, Dr. James is not just a doctor, but a consultant in critical care. Said, he's basically, this guy is setting himself up to be the doctor version of that teacher from Eton who tried to make himself into a right-wing media star. Can Berlusconi become Italy's next president? Probably. Douglas Murray, why I don't walk under ladders. Well, I did warn you as I typed my column last week on the imminent end of COVID. I said I knew that I was tempting fate. The main fear I had in mind was that the moment the magazine hit the newsstand, some wild new strain of the virus. Anyway, he ended up catching COVID. Douglas Murray doesn't walk under ladders because there's a lot of people that would throw stuff down on him. Parp says consultants are often the dumbest and worst kind of doctor. Recursive Road, facing consequences of being vaxxed or not is not bodily autonomy issue. No one's going around non-consensually jabbing folk. Yeah, certain jobs have certain requirements. This Slinker yeah, Douglas Murray's just awful, isn't he just? Owen Matthews writes, the spectre of revolution is haunting Putin. Is it though? Pages of that. Mary Wakefield, who is of course Dominic Cummings' wife, writes, if I could lift one thing from younger generations, unpeel one idea from their anxious minds, it would be the notion that they have to work on themselves, and that the point of life is to do this work, until they feel able to have a relationship, at which point they must grimly set about working on that. Well, you would take that view if you were married to Dominic Cummings, wouldn't you? Kate Andrews has written about feet fetishes. Around 5 years ago, I started to receive requests online for photos and details about my feet. I've been asked for foot pictures intermittently ever since. Most of the gentlemen are upfront about what they're after. Send foot pic, please. But one man went above and beyond in his pursuit. Posing as an academic, he sent several emails to my work account claiming dozens of women in the British media had submitted their shoe size to help him with a research project. He was just waiting for my details to finish his groundbreaking study. Although I never responded, I commend his efforts. A website revealed that people who like Kate Andrews' feet also like the feet of Ashley Judd and Mila Kunis. Jesus Christ. Mrs. Wakefield isn't wrong. Self-care is only necessary because of capitalism. That's true, but then that's not really her angle. Mark Kenosis, actually I'm being contrary today. Vaccine requirements are one thing at the initiation of work, but changing while someone's working is bad. Is Mary Wakefield related to Andrew Wakefield? No, as far as I know, not. We could have a really long debate about that, Mark. The thing, I think that's a really difficult one to say with consultants and stuff. This does not mean that doctor isn't an arsehole. He's fully an arsehole. Spectator is strange, yeah. Writing the Spectator letters. Loads of weird stuff about Bibles. Someone saying they find themselves nodding in agreement to the articles of Kate Andrews, Philip Thomas, Rod Liddle, and Douglas Murray, which, suggests severe issues. Someone's written about Fray Bentos pies. Someone being angry about illegal raves. Why the fuck is this foot article in a political magazine? Well, I know, it's bizarre. Any other business? Martin van der Veyer says, Hunterson's closure is the nuclear accident no one noticed. So farewell Hunterson B, the nuclear power plant on the Firth of Clyde that shut down after 46 years service. It will be followed as some... Oh, God, I don't care about that. My hobby of nodding at articles. Seriously, though, are the Spectator really relitigating health work requirements that were settled with the whole Typhoid Mary thing? Yeah, basically. In the book reviews, The Fairy Tellers, A Journey into the Secret History of Fairy Tales. Sounds quite interesting, but the review is... Philip Hench is actually not a bad reviewer. There's a review of a Greta Garbo biography called Garbo, Her Life and Films. Spectator doesn't have occasionally has some good book reviews, but unfortunately, it's like saying occasionally there's sweet corn in turds. Reading and Self-Reflection, Autobibliography by Rob Doyle. Male writers now are the opposition party, and that may not be such a bad thing for them. So Rob Doyle writes in this addictive self-portrait collection of reviews. And if male writers, this is not a new thing, but it's been a thing pushed. Private Eye were doing it the other week as well. Oh, you can't be a male writer anymore. You get arrested for simply being a male writer. Fuck's sake. No one has read The Spectator as eating a Fray Bentos pie. I am a lover of a Fray Bentos pie. Master of Dawn and Dusk, Igor Taroni Lalick talks to the filmmaker Apichatpon Restakal about sleep, Tilda Swinton, and VR. Again, this is quite interesting, but I wish it wasn't in Spectator. No one has truly eaten a Fray Bentos pie. You just keep it in your stomach for a bit. Yeah, it just passes through. That is true. Rod Liddle, of all people, is required to review Neil Young's new record. Of course, the only person who we could truly trust to review Neil Young's new record is Jack from Realpolitik. Mark Notice does remind me of the guy who went into a shop pretending to be doing stunts to raise money for comic relief and convinced a staff member to let him pour baked beans over her feet. Slinker Meyer says, I think the deception is part of the thrill for some people. Yeah, 100%. Right. Where's the... now we're getting into the really deranged stuff. Taki is in here being, you know, his usual racist self. Jeremy Clark in Low Life is just going on about drinking because that's all he ever does. There's a wine column, tedious, and luckily no Toby Young in this so far. I feel like he's hiding. Oh no, here he is. Doommongers can be funny too, says Toby Young. I wasn't looking forward to seeing Don't Look Up, the new satirical film on Netflix. It's about a blah 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 blah. Anyway, he basically liked it. Roger Alton is angry at saying the BBC is killing sport. Fucking people. And Tanya Gold in Food writes about schnitzel. So there you go. It's the Spectator. A minus 69 to the power 69. As much negative nice as you can fit into a magazine. And essentially this is just James Forsyth arguing that his best mate should be Prime Minister. Right. And from one end of the narrow... from one corner of the narrow Overton window, the Overton cat flap in which we operate, we come to the last magazine of the day. No, sorry, the third magazine of the day. The last magazine of the day is Time magazine, but we'll bosh through the New Statesman anyway. Front page, Toby Young is proof you can get anywhere with hard work. Mark Kenosis is actually in favour of jailing all male writers as a transitional demand on the way to jailing all writers regardless of gender and ultimately abolishing language entirely. Gonzo Socialism rates the Spectator minus Toby Young grovelling to Ghislaine Maxwell, Slinkermeyer, all the minus 69s. The Neon Lady, just terrible, unbearable and unfunny, minus 1 billion. Mark Kenosis, minus 69 views of that video of Toby Young getting attacked with a cricket bat, which people should look up if they haven't seen it. 100%. Aratrax, minus 420, 420, 420, times 10 to the power 69. Right. Let's look at the New Statesman. Chronotherm, thinking of becoming a male writer so I can be cancelled and finally die. Front page of the front cover of the New Statesman. Johnson's last chance. Can the Prime Minister take back control? And it's written by Tim Ross and self-aggrandising Keir Starmer speechwriter and former Blair speechwriter Philip Collins. Also in here, Ross Douthat, the right-wing New York Times commentator on Christopher Hitchens, Katie Stallard on Peng Shuai and the limits of Chinese power, and what to read in 2022. So this would be a selection of extremely boring books. Minus Graham's number for the Spectator, it says C122, H122. The Conservative Party's relationship with Boris Johnson has long been one of convenience, writes the leader column of the New Statesman. I mean, yeah, it's just going to be statements of the bleeding obvious, isn't it? Right, in the notebook section, can the UK avoid 2 lost decades, says George Eaton. I'm going to say no. In the diary, it's Pippa Carrera. Pippa Carrera? Why am I struggling to remember how to pronounce her name? Pippa Carrera. How my story about the Downing Street Christmas party shook Westminster. She won't have written that headline, but it's a bit of an aggrandizing one, isn't it? Yeah. How it was shook by things being dropped into her lap and then into Paul Brown's lap. What is Ross Douthat doing there? Pro-incel Ross Douthat. Yeah, he's gone transatlantic. He's been released from his cage. Rachel Cunliffe interviews the political scientist Brian Klaas on how the corruptible gain power. And he says, modern society has made positions of power seem unattractive to normal, decent human beings. When have they ever been attractive to normal, decent human beings? Stephen Bush who has now moved on, but has a column here still. Politics. Can the Labour and Liberal Democrat leaders unite to defeat the Conservatives? This is what SK's upcoming video talks about in a little bit, about lesser evil and progressive alliances and all this kind of bullshit. It's stupid. It's dim. Louise Perry says, out of the ordinary, Epstein and Maxwell's crimes were the stuff of Hollywood and then forgotten. I don't know about that. Jeremy Cliff says, worldview, we underestimate the appeal of nationalism's dark fantasies at our peril. Mate, we just read The Spectator. We're well aware of when nationalism's dark sympathies are. The cover story by Tim Ross. The Prime Minister is beset by crises, many of his own making. Is the great alchemist of British politics on his way out? This is what I wrote about yesterday in the newsletter, and I encourage you to read it. Whether they pretend to be on his side or pretend to be against him, journalists cannot avoid mythologizing Boris Johnson rather than just talking about him as just a deeply mediocre person. Anyway, Peng Shuai, the sinister case of the Chinese tennis star who made sexual assault allegations against a former CCP official, reveals the choice confronting Beijing: coercion at home or soft power abroad. Why not get yourself a communist party that can do both? SK the Crusader, really lesser evil video is a sequel to the Progressive Alliance one, and then the one about how people bleat about sensible politics will round off the trilogy. Yeah, sorry, I meant to say it's like it is a good successor to the Progressive Alliance one. Marconosis wants SK to dress up as Gramsci for the sensible one. I kind of pronounce that as if I was saying a Damsky, which would be whatever. Lib Dems, C122H122, Lib Dems have less seats than Labour. I struggle with maths, but I know that. Or Zizek and sniffer every time you say ideology. The sniff. I'm haunted. Like, sometimes in my nightmares, I just hear the sniff. Right, Philip Collins, who I think has asked for him it to look like he's wearing a football kit in his byline illustration, says, the public square, without a real plan to reform Britain, the Tories are at the mercy of Boris Johnson. Why do you think they have any plan other than self-aggrandizement and enrichment? Panic Future, Toby Young video with the cricket bat only has 3,000 views. We really need to get that up. Okay, here's Ross Duthat, who says, Temptations of Christopher Hitchens, why the crusading journalist failed to assume the mantle of George Orwell. Just learn some more authors. Mark Kenosis rotates his pronunciation of Gramsci from moment to moment. Me too. Hitchens was led by the smallness of his times into serious intellectual mistakes. Like, look, there's a lot of things we can say about Christopher Hitchens, right? And they've mostly been said. But this guy talking about falling into serious intellectual mistakes is quite something. Sadly, not the drummer from that Philip Collins is sadly not the drummer from Genesis. Rachel-G, do you think admitting Boris's mediocrity would mean they have to reflect on their own competence as political experts? That's why they don't. Bingo, exactly. That's Lincoln says, read another book with regards George Orwell. Anush Kekelian says, my Armenian Christmas reminds me how traditions are reinvented in times of crisis. Fine, grand, whatever. From Margaret Atwood to Francis Fukuyama, the New Statesman Guide to What to Read in 2022. I thought that history had ended, so Francis doesn't need to write us any more books. The New Snobbery by David Skelton is apparently about Labour's decline after its desertion of working people is a cautionary tale for the Tories. That is a fucking bullshit myth as well. The current Labour is deserting. It has no concept of working people or what the modern working class is. Neon Lady, Ross do that is a serious intellectual mistake. Marconosis actually was led by the smallness of his penis. Magic down 13 says 1984 was a book about learning to read other authors. The Burnside, there are more better authors. Why do they all deify Orwell? History ended with Harry Potter, says C122 H122. Kate Mossman interviews Kerry Raditz, who was he lived with Joni Mitchell, and she wrote about him. Well, I guess if you can't interview Joni Mitchell, you could interview a far less interesting man about her. Mark Kanosis, even in 2019, Labour won among working age voters. Yeah, exactly. The wonders of Dürer's world, the Renaissance artist and inveterate traveller journeyed in a permanent state of fascination, writes Michael Prodger. The thing that's good about this is just the Dürer picture. The St. Eustace picture is amazing. The writing, whatever, fine. Film, there's a review of Licorice Pizza. David Sexton says it's an utterly delectable coming-of-age movie. I'm a bit dubious about all the middle-aged men who are fawning over that film. Monsters on Parade. Rachel Cook reviews 4 Lives, which was on BBC One. In the back pages, Dr. Phil Whitaker says, below poor diet, inactivity and smoking lurks an absence of hope. Yep. Nicholas Lazard in the Down and Out column writes, in my post-festive season loneliness, I wonder if I've gone feral. I read that piece, it's actually quite good. Deleted Scenes, Pippa Bailey says, I've compiled a new playlist for 2022. Songs you can't feel sad to. This fucking stuff. Mark Kanosis, speaking of magazines, this morning I subscribed to Harper's Magazine for convoluted fuck it reasons. Absolutely perfect. Have you thought of the Red Wall? Lie back and think of the Red Wall, says Mark Kanosis. Right, anyway, that was the New Statesman. There's like about 2 decent things written in it, and functionally, it and the Spectator are can't get a fag paper between them. Right, one thing I'm not covering today, but I just wanted to, but I've got because I need to write about it, is do you want to see the front cover of this week's New States, a New European? Because this is going to break your brains. The corruption virus, how Boris Johnson infected the nation, by Paul Mason, which is just part of, again, yesterday's newsletter is about this, is part of this notion that Boris Johnson is not a symptom of a broken system, but like the cause of it. And, like the liberal delusion about Trump. We'll just get rid of Trump and then everything will be fine, right? And nothing was bad before that. Nothing was bad before the 2012 opening ceremony. Mark Kanosis, Nicholas Lazard, not as much of a talentless prick as I want him to be. Nicholas Lazard is, he's quite a good, he can write pretty well. Yeah, I was the sweet Jesus about the New European front page because, the corruption virus. Right, finally, we're gonna bosh through this at a fairly decent rate, speedy lick, but Mark Kanosis, whispering to date when the New European comes on the screen. That's the peeing. Big old boy. They think this all happened in 2.5 years. Yeah. Research Arena update. My kettle is definitely broken. F's in the chat for a TRA. Sorry. C122H120 says Paul Mason is a brain worm. Yeah. Gonzo Socialism. System UK isn't broken. It's working exactly how they set it up. Yeah, okay. It's functioning for them and broken for us. Corruption's built into the UK system fully. It's a pseudo-democracy. Right. Talking about pseudo-democracies, here's a magazine from another pseudo-democracy. It's Time magazine from the good old US of A. Great British corruption, don't like it? There's the door, says big old boy. Right, so Time magazine. What's Time going on about? Shonda Rhimes on the front cover brought you Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, Bridgerton, and more, and she's not even close to done. No, because there's way more money to be made. Lots of people have written and said they're very angry about Time's Person of the Year and the fact that they chose Elon Musk. Lots of people angry about that, which is exactly what Time wanted to happen. In the brief, the clock is ticking on President Joe Biden and his precarious agenda. Yeah, and also the relentless ticking of death. There's loads of small things to read in the brief section at the front. They've got a decent obit of Betty White. Taking on climate change in 2022, the environmental crisis we're facing can seem insurmountable. It's true we're falling behind, but it's also not too late. It's kind of nearly too late. and they have various people giving suggestions about what should be done to fix it. Embrace America by defending the rights of others. The freedom in my last name is our greatest strength, writes Enes Kanter Freedom, who plays for the Boston Celtics. There's a massive article about January 6th, which it's a bit of a TikTok one. Recursive Rose, send the DNC to Mars as initial wave of colonists. The burns on it. Somehow worse than when they picked Hitler as Man of the Year. We have a fancy old woman with a gem in a hat. That's democracy. Big old boy. The state does not serve the people. It serves the interests of the dominant class. Marx, probably. Kakistocracy using the Dunning-Kruger effect to recruit, says Gonzo Socialism. Yep, fair dues. CNC director Rochelle Walensky faces a surging virus and a crisis of trust. Interesting profile. Of course, completely melty. The future is already here. Nuclear power goes small. Manufacturing in the metaverse, something that doesn't exist. A real thing apparently being done that doesn't exist. Virtual replicas known as digital twins are transforming manufacturing, medicine, and more. They're not really. The subscribe to me economy. Online creators are now selling their talents directly to fans. What is that?
Farts in jars.
Yeah, farts in jars. Jar farts. Let me guess, are they suggesting unproven technical fixes to climate change? Oh, yeah. Slinker Meyer, I'm so mad that my birthday will now forever be associated with that dumbass insurrection. We on this stream will now rebrand it as Slinker Meyer's birthday. And no further mentions. The Burns need to shoot some silly person organised a 2-hour meeting on a Friday afternoon. It was me. I am the silly person. Yeah, unfortunate. Well, have a good weekend, and thank you for being here. Of course, the subscriber economy makes them go on about OnlyFans above all, because of course they do. Funny equals ha-ha. Artificial intelligence can now craft original jokes, but that's no laughing matter, can it, though?
No, it can't.
I'm glad I live with a world expert on this. Tony Veal, associate professor at University College London, Dublin, says explanations such as jokes or autopsies into bodies. If the subject isn't already dead, it soon will be. That's a good quote, to be fair. On the line, born in the US and skiing for China, Eileen Gu navigates the road to Beijing. Okay, sort of interesting. The super rich stepped in to save a city. Some say they made it worse. No shit. The super rich make everything worse. Bottle of broken bottle boys bathwater when... what a mistake. I pulled out the plug this morning. Who'd be silly enough to subscribe to something they can get for free, says Rachel G. Subscribing for the third month of subscribing. Thank you so much. That's really nice of you. Yeah, the super rich, they ruin everything. If you think hundreds of millions given to a city is automatically a good thing, you're so wrong, says Matt Smith, a resident. Yeah, Slinker My subscriber economy is the reason I can afford an art studio will be socially awkward as fuck. Yeah, it's the reason that I can, write the newsletter that I do and do this show, and for which I am very grateful. Shauna Rhimes' second act, actually this is an interesting feature because she's an interesting person. It's quite interestingly shot. Yeah, so, bit long though. Time off, all new for 2022. They recommend they talk about various movies. New Black Panther's coming out. This Wakanda Forever is coming out in November. Before that, we've got the Top Gun reboot. Jesus Christ. Black Adam, which is Dwayne The Rock Johnson in his superhero debut. The Batman, which I actually am interested to see. Robert Pattinson playing the Batman in the more, world's greatest detective vein. And Nicolas Cage playing Nick Cage, a CIA informant trying to take down a superfan who also a Mexican drug lord in April 2022. That film is called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which could be amazing or really bad. Fluffweasel, Super Rich Ruined Art. Yeah, Super Rich ruined everything. Most anticipated books. There's a sequel to Election called Tracy Flick Can't Win coming out in June. Which is interesting. There you go. That's time. Actually, surprisingly large amount to read in it. Was because it's a double issue. Bit too expensive. Good good that this person of colour on the cover. Rarely happens in British magazines. So yeah, I don't know. I give it 4.5. So, thank you for joining me for this Friday magazine special. You have all been excellent as ever, and thank you for being back with me for this first full week back of the paper thing for 2022. This, of course, will be going up on YouTube later, so if you want to catch up, do. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment, all of those things. That is really helpful to me. There'll be a new issue of the newsletter out later, but if you want to see the current one, it is pinned on my Twitter at Broken Bottle Boy. Yeah, Time passes the train journey test. The Spectator and the new Statesman don't. Jacobin probably does, but again, very, very vegetably. Coins, says Gonzo Socialism. Yeah, no coins today, but. Yeah, by the way, doing the magazine special is kind of spendy. Today was quite expensive. So if you want to help support the show and you're not a subscriber, but you just want to chuck in some coins to support the show, paypal.me/conquest the useless. Very helpful. I will see you next week. More coins next week, says Gonzo Socialism. Yes, we'll try. Yeah, in the meantime, have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you all on Monday. Bye-bye.